So yeah, Kian has brought me in here in this room in the penumbra and has sat me down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of excitement for Resident Evil.
Yep.
And one question in particular has kept coming up.
Yeah.
And that question is, what version of Resident Evil are you playing, Ember?
Yay!
Everyone wants to know. Everyone has been dying to know what version of Resident Evil are you playing, Ember. So, we have to begin. There are so many versions of Resident Evil.
Is this a picture you took?
This is my personal. No, I wish. I wish I had fucking. There's like fucking Code Veronica original Dreamcast in that collection.
Wow.
Crazy.
You know when Huel lies on the money in Breaking Bad? I'm picturing you doing that with copies of Resident Evil.
Dog, you don't even know how many versions of Resident Evil there are. We gotta start. We have to start at the beginning.
Dun dun.
So, in January 1989, Kiyoshi Kurosawa directed a film called Sweet Home, 101 minutes. It's about this film crew that explores an old abandoned mansion that belonged to an artist, and they're trying to make a documentary about the paintings. They're trying to restore them, make a big exhibit, but the house is haunted. Ooh! Oh, there's ghosts. It's okay. It's
okay.
It's all right. It's not Kurosawa's best work. Genuinely, people out there, if you've not seen Cure or Pulse, those are two of the finest horror films ever directed. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, I would describe as one of the masters. But this is it's okay. It's just all right. But what's important about Sweet Home is that in the same year, December 1989, Capcom releases an RPG for the Famicom based on the movie. Now, it was developed alongside the movie, and the directors and developers at Capcom got to visit the film location and got to see the crew making the movie. So they had ideas about what the movie was about, but it ends up diverging from the original narrative in a few places and kind of becomes this like weird alternate take on the story. Now what kind of defines Sweet Home is that it has, this turn-based combat RPG, but there's a deep focus on exploration, puzzle solving, item management, and survival mechanics. You're exploring this mansion, you obtain new keys and items that let you explore new areas, solve puzzles, create shortcuts that lead back to previous locations.
Sweet.
It's kind of one of many people would call it one of the first true horror games. And
nice.
You look at this, you kind of see some stuff going on. There's these cutscenes of doors opening slowly and dramatically.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
hell yeah! So while the game was turn-based combat, the movie was real-time with pause.
Yeah, we'd pop the VHS in, and I'd pause to point out. So this is how Kurosawa got this shot.
Right, it's combat against you, not the movie.
Yeah, I had to include the Dino Raid image for everybody. Everyone is so excited about it. So, Biohazard, March 22nd, 1996. Tokaru Fujiwara, Capcom director, wanted to remake Sweet Home. It was originally planned for the Super Famicom, ended up getting pushed to the PlayStation 1. Brand new, cutting-edge technology. He puts relative... he's a kind of lower down in the Capcom hierarchy. He puts this new guy, Shinji Mikami, in charge because Shinji Mikami tells him he hates being scared. And he's like,
it was a
perfect.
Big prank.
Perfect. Listen, if you hate being scared, then you know what's scary. Mikami had watched Zombie 2 by Lucio Fulci, and he was really disappointed in it. And he wanted to make a game that was a better game than Zombie 2 was a zombie movie.
Wow. Needed to show up Italy one more time.
Yeah, of course. Hey, Italy is, very ever present in this story. But yeah, Biohazard for the PlayStation. Original release of the game. You can see on the box art, Capcom termed it survival horror.
Ooh, that's a fun term.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool game. Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan. Features an opening FMV sequence that was originally shot in full color, later changed to be black and white. Features auto aim when you're playing the game. You snap onto targets when you pull up your gun, which is important. Full English voiceover with Japanese subtitles. There's no Japanese voice acting in the game whatsoever.
Wow.
And has these kind of interesting J-rock songs over the intro cinematic and the ending cutscene. So, keep all of that in mind. Resident Evil released April 1st, 1996. Oh boy! Oh, he's going crazy on it. He's going crazy on it over there. Calm down, boy. We'll get to you. We'll get to you in a moment. We'll get to you in a moment, buddy.
Boy, give me 1 second. I had to remake my Vito tube, and so I don't have any of my hotkeys, so I couldn't be scared there. Hang on.
Oh.
Okay, I'm scared now. We can go back to the presentation.
April 1st, 1996, they release Resident Evil. They release Biohazard in America, but they have to change the name of the game to Resident Evil because Biohazard was the name of a metal band, and they had the trademark on it. So they were like, well, it's a horror game. There's zombies. It's in a house. It's Resident Evil.
Nice.
So, the game's fully in English now. All the text, everything. But they censored the opening FMV, made it black and white. There's a few shots of gore and zombies and stuff that they had to cut out because they thought it was a little too much. So, English opening FMV censored. They also removed auto-aim and reduced the total amount of ink ribbons in the game to make it harder, because at the time, video game rentals were a really big deal, and they wanted to make sure that Americans couldn't beat the game in a single rental. Yeah. So, that's how it goes. Right. So then, a little bit later comes Resident Evil Director's Cut. Now, I need to stress. I have to stress. This is so important. This is the most important piece of information. If you're taking any piece of information from this presentation, I need you to know. You have to be informed about this. Resident Evil Director's Cut is not the same as Resident Evil Director's Cut DualShock version. These are two distinct versions of the game that have their own nuances, and if somebody says they are playing the director's cut, that does not mean they are playing the DualShock version. Okay. Right. So Resident Evil Director's Cut. Released a year after the original release. They released it as an apology for the highly publicized delay of Resident Evil 2.
Oh.
Now, it's crazy to think about this now, because they were like, they delayed Resident Evil 2 by a year, which is fucking nothing in these days, Resident Evil 2 took 2 years to come out after Resident Evil 1 rather than 1 year. What the fuck do you mean they had to explain that they had to release a mea culpa video game that included a Resident Evil 2 demo on the second disc because they were so sorry they had to delay the game.
We could use a little bit of that now.
Yeah, you know. So, Resident Evil Director's Cut, it's titled Director's Cut because it is promised to be the uncut original version of the game that undoes the balance changes they made. They re-added free aim. They re-added put back in its 3 ink ribbons and an item pickup rather than 2. They added a second disc with a demo for RE2. I believe in Japan it's actually a demo disc for Mega Man Legends for some reason, but whatever. But most importantly, brought back those uncensored FMVs. This was such a big thing in for the fan base. Everyone was talking about the intro's gorier in Japan. We didn't get to see it. We're not allowed to see it. Everyone wanted a version of Resident Evil that had the uncensored FMVs. And this was that version, except they fucked up and put the wrong video files on the disc.
Hooray!
So, what the fuck, guys? This was the thing. This was the thing you were promising this release would be about, and you didn't do it.
Hey, the director cut them. Maybe we should listen.
But hey, there's a new arrange mode difficulty that changes item locations, gives you a different Beretta that has a higher crit chance, adds some new costumes. So it's not all bad. There's some fun stuff. Who the fuck is that on the cover? That's not Chris Redfield.
Oh, okay. That's who I was presuming it was.
It's not.
His head looks wrong.
It does look wrong. What's the gun he's holding? It's got like a shotgun barrel, but it's got like an M16 grip.
It's like a Wolfenstein gun.
Yeah, what's going on? You got a $5 off coupon towards your Resident Evil 2 purchase, though.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right. So, the Resident Evil Director's Cut DualShock Edition. Released year after. So this is post RE2. They go back. They come back, release a Greatest Hits edition of Resident Evil Director's Cut after the Sony DualShock's out, and it's like, hey, we can now have analog controls. The game still uses tank controls, so I don't really know what the DualShock part of it really adds. But it adds vibration, so that's fun, Everyone likes, remember the original PS1 controller, not only did it not have dual analog sticks, it didn't have vibration in it, it didn't have rumble. So,
wow.
That's a plus. It still doesn't have the uncensored cutscenes. They had another opportunity to put the cutscenes back in, and they forgot. They didn't do it. They didn't do it again. What do you mean? What do you mean they forgot to do it a second time? But it does have a brand new symphonic soundtrack. A soundtrack by Mamoru Samuragochi. That soundtrack.
Oh, the chat is lighting up.
This is the legacy of the DualShock Edition.
Wait, this is real?
This is real.
That was a shit post.
You can do anything in 1998.
Why did they put this in the game?
What are you?
It's not done. Sorry.
It just keeps going. It just keeps going. Okay. So, who the fuck is Mamoru Samuragochi? The night Mamoru Samuragochi lost his hearing, he had a nightmare. He was alone on a beach, drawn to the water. Step by step, he could not control himself. Step by step, he descended deep into the ocean until he was pulled under completely. The sound became smaller and smaller as the water entered my ears. He could not breathe, and then it was over. He woke up, and his hearing was gone. He was terrified. He went over to his ballroom. The keyboard made no noise. He was punching the keys. Nothing happened. Then he noticed the keyboard was off, and he turned it on. And then it still made no noise. He thought his career was over. But focusing on the tinnitus in his skull, he could use it as a single pitch, like a tuning fork. If he thought hard enough, he could still hear the music. He plays the Moonlight Sonata in his mind, his favorite Beethoven piece, and he writes the notes down onto a blank sheet. He grabs the sheet from his Beethoven collection, he compares it note for note, every note right. He wept openly. He lost his hearing, but he could still compose. This is the story Samuragochi tells in his 2007 autobiography, Symphony No. 1. This story turns him into something of a legend. 2001, Time dubs him the digital age Beethoven.
Wow.
In 2008, he composes a symphony for the victims of Hiroshima. By 2011, he is often named Japan's greatest living composer. And back in 1998, while his career is getting off the ground, he composes the new soundtrack to the DualShock Edition. In 2014, Samuragochi tearfully reveals that he was a fraud, and he had enlisted music teacher Takashi Nigaki to be his ghostwriter back in 1996. Together, Samuragochi would successfully land multiple film and TV soundtracks while having Nigaki do all the composing work.
Oh my
In
god.
1998, Samuragochi calls Nigaki and tells him he had landed their big break, the soundtrack for the Resident Evil Director's Cut DualShock Edition. He even manages to persuade Capcom to get a live orchestra for the opening and ending themes of the game. The catch? They only had 10 days to write the soundtrack.
How's it worse now? It sounds worse with the context.
But despite everything, they managed to get through the job. The rest of the soundtrack isn't as bad as The Basement. There's still some not great tracks in it. We've been listening to Nagaki's soundtrack this whole time, just so you know. The Basement is a notably bad track. Some of the songs are okay, but they still manage to get through, and everyone's like, yeah, all right, sure. Samuragochi then comes up with a great idea. In order to avoid having to answer questions about his work that he did not compose, he could not compose, he could not write, he would pretend to be deaf.
Great.
If, people won't ask you questions if they don't think you can hear them. And that's, the legend is cemented. The digital age Beethoven would go on to compose the soundtrack for Onimusha. Nigaki would write an orchestra piece that Samuragochi would then rename to Hiroshima and have it performed by the Hiroshima Symphony Orchestra. This ate Nigaki alive. He tried on many occasions to leak out Samuragochi's fraudulence to the press via Nippon Columbia and Capcom employees. No one would bite.
Oh.
In June 2013, a reportman from Era magazine interviewed Samuragochi at his Yokohama apartment, but noticed some abnormalities, including Samuragochi's ability to respond to questions before the sign language interpreter had finished, and at one point standing up to answer a doorbell. The interview was ultimately not published. A year later, February 2014, Samuragochi admitted to using Nagaki as a ghostwriter for all his music. The next day, Nagaki revealed Samuragochi was not deaf. The legend was over. And Capcom would completely replace Nagaki's soundtrack in the 2018 remaster of Onimusha. Now, I know what you might be thinking right now. What's Onimusha?
Yeah,
Onimusha Warlords was a PS2 game released in 2001, a mix of survival horror and action. You play as Samurai Samanosuke, who fights the demon army of Oda Nobunaga. It began life in 1997, 1 year after Resident Evil, and was originally pitched as Sengoku Biohazard, a Resident Evil game set in a ninja house with booby traps, and the player would fight with a katana and shuriken. Originally planned to be a PS1 game, moved to the fresh and new PS2 about halfway through development. While testing the game, Capcom designer Hideki Kamiya noted a bug in the game where by timing sword slashes with a particular rhythm, one could juggle a demon in the air and prevent them from fighting back. Kamiya would take inspiration from this bug on the project he was working on at the time, a game called Resident Evil 4. So, August 2001, there is a game that released called Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry began life as Resident Evil 4. After successfully directing Resident Evil 2, Hideki Kamiya would pitch his next idea for the fourth entry in the Resident Evil franchise, about a guy named Tony Redgrave, a man with a mysterious, invincible body. As they kept making the game and implemented these exciting new combo systems, the game's over-the-top action led to creators of Capcom wondering if they had strayed too far from what making Resident Evil. So the decision was made to rename the game to Devil May Cry, and were we supposed to be? What were we talking about again? I feel like I got on a tangent.
I think I went deaf halfway through this.
Oh well, I got a composing proposition for you. Okay, so Resident Evil for the personal computer. December 6, 1996 in Japan, September 17th, 1997 in America. Bam! 3D accelerator cards. It's the future. We can run a PlayStation game on the personal computer. It's higher resolution. Uncensored FMVs. Can you believe it?
Yeah!
The FMVs are uncensored. There's infinite ammo machine guns you can get. There's new costumes. There's strange balance changes. Jill doesn't need ink ribbons to save. And there's a bunch, it's a PC game from the 90s, so it kind of sucks to run on modern platforms. But it's on GOG. I will recommend, if you want to play, if you get the GOG release of Resident Evil, I would highly recommend looking up the classic Rebirth mod. Because there's like 3 different PC ports, 2 built for Windows 95, a Japanese exclusive one built for Windows 98 that's technically the best. And so if you pick it up on GOG, go download the Japanese language EXE, and then patch it with classic Rebirth. You'll get all the best possible version of the game on PC. There's still some of the balance changes. They don't reinstate Jill needing ink ribbons. But it's got all the modern quality of life stuff you'd expect, and it lets you use the BioRand randomizers for the original trilogy of Resident Evil games, which is cool.
Hell yeah!
Resident Evil for the Sega Saturn.
Yay!
Everyone is so excited about Resident Evil for the Sega Saturn.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Cass asked me to give her a random slide just to use as promotion, and I just picked this one at random, and then everyone's like, "Is Cass playing the Sega Saturn version of the game?" Which was not the intention. I did not need to mislead anyone.
I probably could have communicated it better.
But China, it's 1997. Sega does what Nintendo don't. You're not going to play Resident Evil on no Nintendo 64. You crazy? But it's got all the same rebalancing of the American PS1 release, so less ink ribbons, no auto aim. Okay. And the censored FMVs. I don't need to go through all this. All of the 3D graphics had to be redone because of the irregularities of the Saturn's quad-based rendering. The textures are also all lower res. You can kind of tell. It looks different. It looks weird. But It has a brand new battle mode where the player is thrown into a gauntlet of combat rooms and given a limited number of supplies to deal with it. There's a couple of unique golden enemies in this mode that we're not going to get into for spoiler reasons. You know, I have to try and balance being informative without spoiling the video game that we are ostensibly going to play on tonight's stream.
We will.
But this is basically the predecessor to what would become the Mercenaries, everyone's favorite Resident Evil side mode.
Yay!
So let's look at some comparisons of
Oh.
we have the PS1 models on the left and the Saturn models on the right. Oh baby. But you know, they got some new costumes. They gave Jill a low cut shirt. You know?
Nice.
Yes, yeah.
Just like Raiden. Leon.
Just like Leon. Resident Evil for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah!
In 1999, Capcom advertised a port of Resident Evil 1 to Game Boy Color. Super cool. Never came out.
Oh.
Fuck. But in 2012, a prototype build of the game leaked. And then in 2025, that's last year. This is brand new. A near complete build of the game dropped. It's like the whole game. They managed to squeeze basically all of Resident Evil 1 onto a Game Boy. It's not good. I wouldn't recommend somebody play it, but it's so cool that it exists. Resident Evil 2002 for the Nintendo GameCube. Released in 2002. Also known as the remake. This is a different game. This is not the PS1 game. This is a different video game. Do I need to explain the idea of a remake to people? Like, they reimagined the whole game. Shinji Mikami back in the director's chair. It's really cool. It was a GameCube exclusive, which was Forum Flame War ignition napalm, just blowing the doors off of GameFAQs boards. It's really good. It builds on the original in many very clever ways. It subverts your expectations. It's an excellent, excellent game. It's not Resident Evil 1996. So that's not what we're playing.
This is the only one we've eliminated, folks. It could be any of the others.
I mean, like, you understand how these are two different video games, right? Like it's a really good video game, but it's different. They changed, like, they rebuilt the whole thing, and it's different, you know? Oh, Resident Evil Deadly Silence. Let's fucking go. This game right here, this version is so fucking cool. It's got dual screen gameplay. You got the map on the top screen. You got the action on the touch screen. You can see the map at all times as you're navigating. You got action reloading. You got quick turning. You got quick knifing. It's fucking awesome. It's got a rebirth mode that remixes enemy layouts, adds new exclusive DS puzzles and DS minigames.
It's called Deadly Silence because it's DS.
Because it's DS. You got to use the touchscreen to knife zombies. You got to use the microphone to perform CPR. It's sick. Has one of the two uncensored FMVs. We take what we can get at this point, you know. Multiple blood colors, a new multiplayer mode where you can play as the entire STARS team. The only English release to have full subtitles. This is my preferred way to play the game. This version is really, really good. But it's a DS game, so the audio is crunchier and the resolution is a bit lower than the PS1, so to be kind of Kath, we won't be playing this version. But you know what Deadly Silence does have? It's a handle gothic game, baby.
Yeah!
It's beautiful. Doesn't it just bring a tear to your eye?
I love to see it.
So, like, you know, as I mentioned, a lot of these versions have different costumes. So look at this collage of all the costumes they added to this game over the years.
But one of them is really boob.
Yeah. 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 Right. Anyway. Resident Evil Archives. Resident Evil. Do you remember back in back in the Wii when they were doing the new play control line where they re-released GameCube games on the Wii with motion controls? Some publishers also try to do this without the new play control branding. And so here's this kind of lesser known re-release of Remake on the Wii. Doesn't have any motion controls in it.
Oh.
You can use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, but you don't, you just use the buttons on it. It doesn't have motion controls at all. You can still, if you have a GameCube controller, you can just plug it in and play it. This is just the GameCube game printed onto a Wii disc. It's literally just a GameCube game on a Wii disc.
Nice. Open up the archives.
But very few people know about it, so I figured I'd talk about it. The Resident Evil HD remaster. This is Remake again. It's in 60 FPS 1080p on the PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Yay!
It's got widescreen support, and optionally, you can play the game without 10 controls.
Whoa!
There's a GameCube in like the final area of the game, and they had to take it out because it's not on the GameCube anymore. It's great. It's still not Resident Evil 1996. The Resident Evil Origins collection.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't hear the words I'm saying. This is Remake. It's on the Switch. It includes RE0. This is still not Resident Evil 1996.
Dang.
Right. We've come so far, and we've learned so much about every version of Resident Evil. Okay, but what version is Ember playing? We are playing a ROM hack called Resident Evil True Director's Cut. It's a ROM hack that features the improvements of the DualShock version with the soundtrack of the original game and the uncensored cutscenes of the PC release. Thanks, Oleski. I tried to find a version of the game that did all this. There was a lot of conflicting information. I appreciate Oleski's guidance, but this is what we're doing. We're playing True Director's Cut. God, I hope nothing shits the bed when we play this. Cass tweeted this out last night. Not the remake, not the original version, not the DualShock version. God, this is confusing. Kian, could you explain what the hell's going on with all these Resident Evils? And you posted this screenshot by complete coincidence. I assume you just picked a screenshot, like literally any screenshot.
Yep. I just googled Resident Evil.
Yeah. So there's another ROM hack called Resident Evil Ultimate Director's Cut that does mostly the same thing. But if you run past this zombie and go through the door behind this zombie, you skip the first area of the game if you've seen a specific cutscene. And it's super fucking weird. I did like a speed run of the game to see if that was real because they mentioned it, and I was like, what the fuck? Why would that be the case? And it is real. That's the only reason we're not playing Ultimate Director's Cut is because I thought that would be bad if it happened to you. So let's not have that happen.
Okay. But
yeah, so we've learned about every version of Resident Evil, and we know we're playing the True Director's Cut. No, I'm not talking about Umbrella Chronicles. You can't make me. This is over. We're done. We're done.
Holy shit. Well done, Kian. That was fucking amazing. Can we get a round of applause in the chat, please? That was amazing. Holy shit. Well done. Oh my god. When are we playing Umbrella Corps?
When are we playing Umbrella,